in and day out, we hear incidents about cybersecurity hacks, threats, money loss due to phishing, identity thefts, stolen passwords, and whatnot. Scary world indeed. But we need not worry, because there is a company tirelessly working to make this world a better place, a safer place. That is Sacumen for you. This is Siri Ravikumar, your host for today. Sacumen, founded in the year 2015, has made its name in the cybersecurity space by working with leading cybersecurity product companies to develop innovative cybersecurity products and solutions. They have 4 research and development centers with more than 65 customers. Sacumen has a strong market share in their industry and has grown 100% year on year for the past 3 years. I now have with me the 3 pillars of the organization. I would like to welcome you all. And firstly, I would like to talk about Mr. Nitesh Sinha, founder, CEO of Sacumen. He lives by the quote, "We are here to put a dent in the universe, otherwise why else even be here?" So with 2 decades of his experience and contribution to the cybersecurity space, he definitely has made a dent through his actions and contributions, and is also wanting to leave a legacy which I think has already started. The work has begun. And I would like to congratulate you on this phenomenal growth of Sacumen and also putting a dent in cybersecurity space. So Nitesh, welcome to the show and congratulations on building Sacumen to this level and also making that dent in the cybersecurity space.
Thank you, Shri.
And I also have like really interesting things to talk about. That is going to be when I start asking you the questions.
Let's see.
Then next we have Praneeth, the VP of Sacumen. The word that best describes him is builder, is what they say. He's been fascinated with building things even as a kid. It could be toys, games, and now he's fascinated in building companies. And he's been instrumental in getting Sacumen ground up. With more than 18 years of experience as a salesperson, he is really taking the company to another level. So we welcome you, Praneeth.
Thank you, Siri.
We have Mr. Subhashish with us, Director of Product Engineering. Subhashish is an innovative leader who emphasizes on what can you bring onto the table. And with 2 decades of experience in the IT industry, he emphasizes on the impact that you can bring onto the organization, to customers, and to what you do. So Subhashish, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So with that, we move on to questions. I would like to ask you a question first, Nitesh. So what really inspired you to enter into this industry, cybersecurity space, which is very essential, we know, but what inspired you to cater to this industry?
Sure. So, Siri, I am a first generation entrepreneur, right? So, I don't fall into that fascinating category of born entrepreneurs,
Okay.
right? I don't have those fascinating stories of selling lemonades or starting some business, right? When I was a kid. No, I had a pretty normal childhood in that way.
Okay.
And I had a traditional journey in that way, to start as a developer, to growing as a security architect, to then gradually running business units. But I think few of the attributes which have stayed with me across this journey has been that, that curiosity, willingness to learn, my ability to challenge the status quo, and always looking at newer way and better ways of doing things in that way, right? So that I think has been part of my attributes as part of this journey. Right.
Yes.
So I think after 14 years in the IT space, when 2 things really struck me, right? One was I saw a big need for a specialized cybersecurity player, a company which can work in the product engineering space, right? A company that not just have a deep technical expertise, but I think even in terms of a broader understanding in the cybersecurity domain, right? Not just look at individual projects, right? But look cybersecurity as a overall domain in itself, right? Covering all the 5 entities, and actually all the products and solutions, the cybersecurity products and solution in the world are built around the 5 entities, right? So you have the user, you have the device from which you are accessing it, on which network you are accessing it, right? Which application you are accessing it, and where is your data getting stored. That's pretty much it. These are the 5 entities, right? So when you are designing those products and solutions, you need to cover all of that with a deep expertise of cybersecurity. And I think that is something I saw a big need. And I think the second part was something I strongly believe that I could do better than anyone in the world there, right? So I think that what led to the birth of Sacumen in that way. And that's why if you look at it, right from day one till date is we have worked only with cybersecurity product companies, right? That has been the laser sharp focus what we had till date.
So moving on to a question to Praneeth, no, later. I'll ask the backstage first.
Sure.
So before you joined Sacumen, you already had like a bag of experience.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are a lot of different ways you work with, different companies that you worked with, or you had a process in mind. So when you joined Sacumen, how different or how similar was the process that you followed?
Well, actually, every journey is a unique journey. And like they say, like the Bangalore roads, you can come in the same road, but every day it is unique. So it's like that. So you have pretty much that kind of journey. But jokes apart, I think the fundamental of delivery is with respect to the core ethos that we, when we look at delivery. One is, do you understand the why? That's why you're doing the product. What is the impact that product is bringing to the table? That is the core ethos of any organization, any delivery organization. And if we are building that, and then we are essentially going ahead and doing all the tweaks and innovations and thinking out of the box for the different type of environment, it makes it much more effective. So what of course I had to unlearn a lot of things. I mean, Sacumen is a very different environment. It's much more fast paced, it's very dynamic. So it actually leads to a very different kind of setup. Because of that, you have to think differently. You cannot use the same boilerplate kind of from another place. You have to do it differently. So there was a lot of unlearning. It took me some time as well. But I think that is something that has actually made me, I would say, as I started with, it's a unique experience and it's a unique journey.
That's a great point. You first know why and then you'll figure out how. So what is already defined by him, I think. How he will do it, but you're asking why are we even doing this? All right. So the next question is to you, Praneeth. In the past couple of years, Sacumen has actually made a dent in the cybersecurity space. With your experience and expertise and your contribution to the company, how would you summarize Sacumen from your point of view?
Sure. I think if I look at Sacumen, right, I've been here for the last 5 years, right? I've seen my journey, right? So if I look at it, first is, in the 5 years, we are slowly started getting recognized as I'll say the industry leader, in development of connectors and then product engineering. So that is one of the major one. Second is, and then over the past 4 years, we as a company have been growing 100% year on year, right? Which is a major achievement, right? Even during the COVID times, right? So, we have been growing 100%.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I say why we did that or how we did it is, I will say, because we have been delighting our customers. Thanks to Subhashish and Nitesh and their teams, right? we have been doing that a lot. Right, so the reason is, I'll give an example, right? So with one of our customer who is a Fortune 100 company, right, where we have done a good amount of work. So what happened when the COVID started? So the customer came to us one day and said, hey, I have to cut off everything that we are currently doing. Sorry, we have to terminate the contract. Right, this was happened on a Friday night.
Oh.
Right, and literally I didn't have any sleep. Right, over the weekend, right, I was struggling to say, hey, what do I do? Right, this is one of the major customer. We are doing a lot of business with them, but they said, hey, everything is off. But what happened is, we have done a great amount of work for them, and they were really happy with the kind of work that we did. So what they did is, they went back, they spoke to their customers, they spoke to their partners, everyone that they can tap, and they actually got the funding, right, within 30 days. They had the money also in the bank within 30 days. So that they can keep and retain these teams, and then we can start growing more, right? Then we realize this, boss, the moment you delight your customers, they will bend their back, and then they will do whatever they need to do to support you, and then so that you can grow, and then along with them. I think that is what I believe is what has differentiated us, or what has helped us grow, year on year 100%, right?
That's a great story. COVID, I think, gave a lot of people a lot of challenges, and I don't even want to begin with the kind of problems we've had. But it's good to know that Sacumen did really well during COVID. And in fact, while people were taking half salary or were being fired, you in fact had people working for you, and in fact you had other arrangements going on, and it did exceptionally well during COVID. So, I mean, any of you could answer this question. Is this the only challenge that you faced, or are there any other pressing challenges that you had to go through?
So I think not from a COVID perspective, but in general, right? As far from a business perspective, is any of our customers, right? Is they engage a bulk amount of work. What we do for them is around connectors. So connectors, in a very simple language, I'll explain, is connecting two things, right? So let's say you have a cybersecurity product. I'll keep it as simple as antivirus. What we have on the laptop, right? Is antivirus can do only to a certain extent what it can do, right? Is but let's say I'll give an example. Let's say you have an issue on your laptop. Let's say a malware got onto your machine and has infected your machine. First of all, it will take you maybe months to even realize there's some issue on your laptop. Then what you do is, what's the next step? You will reach out to your IT department, and if you're lucky enough, the person will be available, but maybe most of the time, unfortunately, he would be on leave. So you have to wait, right? And till the time he comes in, then he looks into your machine, then he may not be able to figure out what's happening there. Then he'll say, okay, we'll send it to the vendor. All of the things, all the time is, what's happening is your machine, because you're accessing your network, right? The malware is able to navigate into those network, access your critical server, and then the real attack starts to happen. In fact, a bulk of the attack starts to happen like that, correct? So the whole thing, right, is that is where you have to build those integrations or third-party integration of the connectors, what we are talking about. So I think we are living in a pizza culture city, right? Is 2 minutes delivery, correct? I mean, our thought process is literally, whether it is anything we do, right, is we want everything at a fast pace, correct? I think security is exactly on those lines. So I'll take that same example, right? Your laptop not getting addressed and lot of time getting lost, and by the time such a deep compromise has happened, it's too late in the game. So what if I tell you that I can give you a solution where even before you approaching me and telling me there's a issue on your laptop, right, I am able to detect in advance there's some security malware which is already on your system in that way, right? And to answer your question, right, is the moment I detect it is on one click, I can initiate an activity to take backup of all your data there, because data is the most critical piece. Then be able to sort of do things around, isolating your device, accessing the, isolating the part of the network which your machine has access there. All of that, right, and be able to fix it in real time, any of the security issues or the malware which is on your device, right, just on one click. And that's the power of automation or the connectors which we are talking about, Sherry. So that is what we deal in. So any of these security product companies, if you look at it, they easily need around 200 to 250 connectors across, right? And what they look at is always that, how do I beat the market, right? So they need the ability to develop huge volume of connectors at a very fast pace, at a very high quality and predictability there. Right. This has been the most pressing challenge what we have been solving there, right? So over a period of time we have developed a very robust delivery framework and processes. We have a lot of reusable modules, key automation framework, our own libraries, a lot of other things which we have developed, right, which helps them to we are able to deliver connectors at a very, very fast pace with the predictable quality in that way. And one of course the other thing is, which obviously comes as, how do I get access to the product itself if I want to do this integration? So I have a customer product, but what about the other product which I need to integrate it, right? So we sort of have a partner ecosystem of almost 190 plus product companies. So we don't need to struggle in terms of trying to figure out partnership, because we are specialists in this. We do this in and out. I mean, we have this connects, partnership, all of that, right, which we leverage and are able to get the connectors there. That I think is a very, very critical problem what we solve for our customers. The huge volume and the pace what they require there, and the ability to get access to the product. All of that is something with obviously delivering at the high quality and predictability there. That's what we solve for our customers about.
Great. You all have a huge responsibility in some way, right?
I think so.
So moving on to the next question, Praneeth. So what do your customers look beyond your regular execution? And how does Sacumen cater to their needs?
Yeah, sure. I think, what our customers expect from us, right, is just not only us delivering what Subhashish's team is doing it, right? So they expect us much beyond, right? One example is, right, so we are an expert in cybersecurity space. So they expect us that, yes, I think these folks know about the industry. These folks know about what my products does, or what are the other products do, right? So that is the first thing that the customers expect from us. Second is, right, we also help our customers in a lot of times guiding what they should do, right? So sometimes the customers come to us with just a one-line requirement and say, hey, this is what we are trying to do, right? So, but how do you take it from there and then build a complete requirement, right, out of it, or a complete, I'll say, a 4 or 5 page document, right? So that defines what the product is doing or what the connector does, right? I think that is the second thing that a customer expects from us. And the third thing, which Nitesh already briefly spoke, right, is the partnerships, right? Because unless you have access to the other product, you will not be able to build that integration or do anything, right? So I think that is one of the critical one that a customer expects from us. And also, the business models, right? So the customers are not looking at traditional models like, okay, hey, you come in, you build this connector, I will pay you by the hour. No, those are not the models that the customer is looking for. What a customer is looking for is what we do also is like a connector factory model, right? Which is exactly like a factory. How you have the lines, right? Factory and different lines for different products. Similar to that, right? Is how you build these, right? How you build the connectors and then keep churning them out, right? Like exactly like a factory, so that the customer knows, okay, yes, I think once it is coming out of this factory, I know the quality is good. I know why I know they are catering to my needs. Right? And these are some of the things that that the customer is expecting beyond what we are what we are currently delivering. Right, and then I'm happy to say that we have been doing this, right? A lot of these things we have been addressing that in a lot of customers, so which is helping us in grow more and more with our customers.
That's where you come into picture, right? To make sure that execution is right and your customers are satisfied. So, Subhashish, I want to ask you, what makes Sacumen unique in terms of their delivery? So there is some kind of briefing, and he makes sure that the customer is okay and he doesn't come back with any complaints, and you make sure the delivery is smooth. So how do you take it forward from there?
Yeah, so one of the most important things is it's not about, as he rightly pointed out, it's not just about customer success. It is about delighting the customer.
Right.
And what I always tell my team is always go on, be a customer yourself. See whether your answer the customer will like. Will they like it? Will they not like it? Will they actually react to that in a positive way if you were the customer? Think of it as you are, even at home, when you actually beautify your home, you have a lot of vendors you're working with. How would you react if the vendor came with the same problem? Will you react the same way? So it's sometimes basic common sense. That's essentially what I push my team to think. One of the other things that I constantly push is I ask them, what is the impact this product is going to have in the final end customer? And try to align all your decisions based on that. When you align all your decisions with respect to that, you will always deliver a successful product. And that's essentially the core ethos of the delivery organization. That's essentially what I'm driving at.
It's quite difficult to bridge that gap of what your company stands for and what your customers want, while not losing your ethos or your opinion or the way you're functioning, and also cater to them, also make them happy. It's quite a task, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Which comes to my next question to Nitesh. This, we are talking about external, we are talking about your product and customers and everything. But if we talk about the company, we know you're on a mission now. What is the kind of culture that you want to build within the company? Or say, what is it that you want to tell your customers also, that this is what we stand for? So,
I think this is a very important question for me, is because culture in many ways at many places is really looked from a perspective of those few jargons which an external consultant has given to a company, right? And they walk away. Nice looking words and all that. But I think culture for me is really what defines Sacumen. Right? Culture really defines of what we value, and how do we operate in that way, right? So when we had, or I had that responsibility to define the culture for Sacumen, right, it was not a one-day job in that way, right? I woke up, okay, this is something what I've heard in my earlier experiences, and okay, these are the culture stuff. I think all I had to do was very simple thing, and actually my culture pillars, those 5 which I identified, right, is something, all I had to do was I had to go and ask myself the question as, what are the keywords I keep repeating myself with my team day in and out. And I think those culture pillars straight away came out of it, right? So it was not a complex outsource activity to a consultant to tell me what my culture pillars are.
Correct.
Unfortunately, that happens and people are not able to relate to it, right?
Yeah.
That's why these 5 pillars really came out, right? So the top one stays the ownership, right? So everyone at Sacumen, we expect them to own their own stuff at all levels in that way, right? So we don't believe in micromanagement. Our job as leaders is to do only one thing, is to provide the support and enablement for the team to be successful. That's it. Then we should get out of the way and let people do what they're doing in that way.
Yeah. No interference, no spoon feeding.
No spoon feeding there. Of course, there are certain cases, realistically, which you may have to handhold people a bit more in that way, but that's part and the parcel of the, not all fingers are the same in that way, right?
That's
But
true.
yes, gradually grooming them as leaders so they are able to operate independently. So ownership is critical. Second thing is impactful innovation. So we are in the business, if we don't do it, we'll be kicked out of the business. So exactly to the thing in terms of the surviving the COVID times and all that, right? The critical thing would have been that what are the new innovative thoughts you're bringing to the table, right? And innovation, just to clarify, right, does not have to be a big bang reform, just work nights and nights and you're worked out with this big framework. I mean, that also happens, but I think it's more of day-to-day activities which you do to make ourselves better and the organization better. Right. So if you are able to exhibit that, right, you are able to take those risks, challenge the status quo, is something what we encourage our people, right? And we may fail, that's fine, but it's important to take the risk and keep taking a shot at improving ourselves, right? So impact through innovation is a critical thing. Teamwork, needless to say, is right. It's all about we, not about I. So working towards a common goal. Fourth is the delighting customers. I think to add to what Pani said, that scary call what we got on a Friday evening, right, where we are all about in a mood to get into a celebration. We get this call that we have lost one of our the biggest customers, right? But I think that thing of delighting customer, right, is a critical thing, and you delight customer not through an output based approach but through an outcome based approach, and that's what we have been striving. We are working towards it. And give a simple example. Let's say I deliver a solution to a customer, right? Is one of the things is I can do exactly the set of things what is there in my design and what I'm delivering, but did it indeed help customer achieve why he exactly even started the project? The why part again comes into picture. Do you know what he's trying to achieve out of that? So focusing on that, if you are able to help him, where he goes and talks to his boss and say that this is what I started this project for, and I'm able to achieve my outcomes, and you don't need to sell, right? Is you have a delighted customer who will be your champion in that way, right? So that's what we work towards. And I think the final thing, which is I would say the most important thing out of that, is being fair. So, with the sort of early experience, everything, right? One of the things which I always wanted Sacumen to be known for is being fair. No false promises, no false commitment there, right? So if there's certain thing, if we promise something we'll stick to it. I think there's that famous dialogue you have, right, is एक बार मैंने commitment कर दिया तो मैं अपनी आप की भी नहीं सुनता हूँ, right? I think literally on those spirit is we have operated. Actually at times, one of us may have committed something to the customer that would have costed us a bomb, but we have still done it because we have committed to a customer or our employees in that way, right? So that I think is a critical piece from a culture perspective there.
So I'm sure like even your team comprises of people from different interests, and do you have any time where you have like your employees doing some outbound experience, and do you have such activities?
Yeah, I think lot, right? So every fortnightly, right? We do have those sessions, whether it is a Zumba, yoga, or any of those fun sessions we do conduct there.
You already, I think, have a slice of what Sacumen can be and what it is already. In every company, it's the sales and business department which is always tensed, always talking loudly, and there's a lot of stress and tension just in that one area. So I want to ask you, what are the benefits and policies for employees at Sacumen?
Sure, I think, apart from the regular ones that most of the companies offer, right? So we thought, right, how do we make our employees' lives much richer, right, much better, right, so that they can spend not only the money, right, so they can spend more time with their families or friends, whatever they want to do. So I think there are few policies which are unique to us, which at least I haven't seen in the industry, right? First is long weekend policy. Right, so every month you will definitely have a long weekend, irrespective whether there is a festival or a holiday that month.
Wow.
Right, so if you look at it, right, typically most of the companies do have 10 or 11 holidays in a year, but for Sacumen we have almost 17 holidays in a year. So that is 6 more extra, right, typically when compared to the other companies. That is the first major one, right, where actually a lot of our employees treasure that, right, is they get a chance to go out, right, and then do something fun. Second is we also have medical out-of-pocket expenses. Right, so what we do is, you know that whenever you go to a hospital, right, you just had a cold or a fever, you go to a hospital, you pay for money, right, you pay out of pocket, and the insurance doesn't cover that. So what we have seen is, right, how do we help the employees in covering that, right? So that is one of the things that we have taken up, and then so what we are doing is now we have a certain amount of budget every employee has, right, for all the medical out-of-pocket expenses, which are not covered by the insurance companies, right? So that is the other one. Third is the learning budget, right? So we want you to upskill, right? We want you to learn more, right? Read more, or if you want to do certain courses, do more, right? So we have a budget for all the employees, right? So if they want to do some different courses, it doesn't necessarily need to be right. Related to the company, right? If like Subhashish, if he wants to do acting, right? So if they can pursue acting course, right? Or if you want to do cooking or something, right? So if you want to do that, you have the opportunity to do it. Pursue your interests. That is the other one. So the last one is, right, the way we actually award our employees, right? So a lot of companies you see, they'll say, okay, hey, you did great this month, you get a certificate, you get a gift voucher, okay, use this money somewhere, right? So not only that, what we do is for our employees, we actually are sponsoring their vacations, right? So domestic or international. So what we did is, right, if you have done well in a certain quarter or this thing, right, you actually can use that and then go out with your family, right, domestic vacations or international. So those are the things that we are doing unique, which are not there in a lot of other companies, right? So I think that is what I say. We are proud to say that we have implemented these, right, from an employee standpoint. As I said, we want to take care of our employees, because once you take care of them, then they will do miracles.
That's
right. That is what we believe in.
Can I apply? I have no expertise, but this is.
We'll train you. That's fine.
Oh my God!
We have a great fresher program that Subhashish has put together, and we can train you.
Client delivery, right?
Sales.
Yeah, or sales. We can do it. Right?
I will be your permanent host. Whatever happens, I am going to be the spokesperson of Sacumen. I want those long weekends and 17 days holiday.
You can head Marcom, right? Marketing communications, right? And then you can do it.
I don't know if you guys want to join. I am joining. I'm sending my resume right away, okay, please. So, also Sacumen made an impactful debut at the Zinnov ratings, and also has achieved a lot of other things that we probably do not know. So if you could throw light on some milestones that you have achieved, and what other things has Sacumen achieved?
Yeah, sure. The Zinnov ratings just shows the way, our dedicated focus, as Nitesh was talking, right? Our laser sharp focus that we are doing. Right, so that is a testament to the focus that we are doing, not only in the development of connectors, but also helping our customers build products, right, more and more new products, right. I anyway told you about the example of Fortune 100 company where they called us one night, right. So there are multiple examples like that, right. Another example is, right, another customer just came to us for one small project, right, which was supposed to be 3 months, right, and now it's been 3 years and he's still there, right. He's still working with us because the kind of quality of the work that you are doing, right? That Subhashish and team and Nitesh and team, they're delivering. So that is what I'll say the testament to what essentially it is, right? So if you do your best, and if you are trying to do more and better every time, right? Your customer appreciates it, and then they will, they'll start looking, they'll start taking that into consideration. Right. So that is, I'll say what I'll say has helped us in shaping the way that we are, and then we are getting numerous awards, right? In the last few years, we have got a lot of awards from different agencies, right? Showing the work.
Very nice. Congratulations on that. It's such a short span of time. I think there are a lot of things I have read myself, and I think it is a great achievement already so far, and all the best for your future assignments. And
Thank you.
so coming back to our COVID situation that we all faced, and we also spoke about how well you did during that time. But in terms of delivery, what are the kind of challenges that you faced, or how smooth or how difficult it was?
Yeah, so work from home, as they say, right? It was a joke before, in pre-COVID times.
Right.
I used to always joke with my teams that it is work for home. It's not work from home. So you pretty much, you are calling it work from home, but you're doing that.
Right.
But then that has become a norm today. But my fundamental belief is, if I am able to set the outcome for my delivery team, I am able to say that, okay, this is your outcome. I don't care whether you work in the midnight or you work in the mornings. You are a morning guy, you're a night owl, you are somewhere in between. You want to, I mean, I also say this, you work from Mars or Venus, it really doesn't matter. But then the point is, the point I'm trying to drive, and I have told my team always, is you have an outcome that you have to achieve, whether it is in a day or whether it is in a week. Focus on that. Where you do it, when you do it is not what I am worried about. Do it wherever, do it whenever, but get that outcome to me.
Right.
And that will essentially not only help them, it will also help the company. And that has been my primary motto all through, even before pre-COVID or post-COVID. So that, because that was my fundamental belief, I never faced that problem of COVID, and so I have to change my entire way of working, or I have to change my leadership style. I didn't need to, because that was my fundamental belief.
Right.
And that actually was, it was more interesting actually, because when I started working with some of these freshers and I put in an outcome based model to them and I started giving, I got some really good ideas from them, which even today I'm sometimes I get the goosebumps that, man, somebody who's just come into the industry is able to give me that idea. So that is the culture that has been built here.
That's true.
That you are able to put it, whether you're a fresher or a trained guy, that really doesn't matter. As long as you're challenging the status quo, you're bringing up an idea, that's what it is. And finally we're making it.
That's great. I think when Nitesh was talking about culture, he said we don't micromanage.
Yes.
And when you said, like, I don't know how it is done, but it has to be done.
Correct.
You know, I think that kind of freedom also puts people in a space where they can innovate
Exactly.
and come up with creative solutions for whatever they're faced with.
I
Right?
think to give an example, right, is this Sacumen has always been the place where we give platform to especially youngsters a lot, right? Is where we don't confine you just because you're a fresher, right? Is or you have a very low years of experience, you can't take up anything. So there was an instance, let's say, a fresher joined and he worked on the design document, he worked on end-to-end project, right? And delivered a project within the first 6 months in that way. It was a successful engagement that way. So people don't get those opportunities working end-to-end, working on design document, many of those things, right? Is in decades at times, right? But this is a platform, if you have the ability, if you have the right work ethics, just go for it, will back you up in that way.
Great. So Nitesh, I want to ask you one thing, like being a CEO, what is the most exciting thing, being a CEO? This role definitely comes with a lot of weight with its name itself, but I'm sure there are a lot of excitement that you can find in between. So I will reframe the question and ask you again. So what gets you most excited as a CEO at Sacumen?
Sure. I think few things primarily in that way, right? Is the first one is, let's say when the customer comes and give us a feedback that our delivered solution was indeed able to solve their problems, right? Was able to help them achieve their goals and outcome. That gives the most adrenaline rush in that way. The second part, I think, is where my team, right, are able to express themselves, are able to challenge themselves, and be able to make a better versions of themselves, right? Gives immense happiness in that way. And the last point is where members come and tell me that whatever they could learn within the first few months or years at Sacumen, right? They did not even learn that sort of thing in the last 10 years, 12 years in that way, right? And that has been the feedback which has come, and that gives immense satisfaction to any CEO, right? And it's all about people business in that way, right? So the more your people are happy and they're willing to learn and they grow up is something, nothing will give you more happiness in that way. So
That's true.
That's what.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And going forward, like, where do you see Sacumen, like, say 5 years from now?
Sure. I think pretty much three things what we are looking to achieve, right, is one is continue with the 100% year-on-year growth in that way. Second thing would be the revenue coming out of the product arm, right, should be around 70% in 5 years. Yes, in 5 years. And the last one is to grow up our existing business units. We have 4 at this point of time, and we want to create new business unit. So just to give you a sense, right, is business unit at Sacumen are mini companies in that way, right, and it means it will have its own CEO, CTO structure, architects, all of that, right, it will have its own sales numbers and everything. So what it gives an opportunity for my leadership team, right, is to be ability to run their own companies in their way, right, these are all business units we are operating like mini companies, and that helps them to, to satisfy their entrepreneur spirit and their goals, what they are looking at. So those opportunities are also there, and I think that is what we are saying, right? Coming from that ownership is we would want people to run their own business, and we are there to support and enable in that way. So I think these are three things what I would want Sacumen to achieve in 5 years.
Before I move on to my last question, I want to ask you, why should people join Sacumen?
Okay. First, I would say that which are the people who should not join Sacumen? Let me take a shot at it, right? So people who like 9-to-5 jobs is something this is not a good place for them. People who like someone to lay out a complete step-by-step path for them, right, is literally micromanagement. This is not the place for you. And people who don't like changes, you'll have a big challenge here. Is something because of the nature of our business and what we operate as a culture, right, is something, it will be a misfit in that way. I think people who would really be successful at Sacumen are people who are looking in the next phase of their career, right, to do impactful work, right, to develop cybersecurity products and solutions, right, and be sort of look at opportunities to grow and learn, right, at a pace where possibly comparably they may take 7 to 8 years at another company. They may be able to achieve it in 1 year's time. And that has happened with members in that way, right? So I think that's why people should be joining Sacumen if you are ready to take on those sort of challenges there.
Right. And also don't forget about the long weekends.
Somehow you're fascinated with the long weekend.
I think especially like people in a corporate job, I think that is what they complain. And if there is a change maker, if there is somebody who's bringing about a change in the work culture itself, I think that makes, it's a good motivation to people and come back and do some quality work, right?
Sure.
So I think it's a major plus point. Because every now and then we see people cribbing about not getting leaves and about the traffic, and now that the COVID effects have subsided, people are dragging themselves to office. So it has to be a fun place to work with. Sure. And I think so far whatever I've known, it seems really fun, and I'm telling you, I want to apply.
Thank you.
So the last question, Nitish, in the beginning we spoke about you wanting to leave a legacy behind.
Sure.
So could you throw light on that? What kind of a legacy that you want to leave behind?
Sure. So I think primarily two things what I want to achieve, right, before I really close my eyes and go out of this world, right, is I think the first thing is I would want Sacumen, when people talk about Sacumen, right, it should be looked as a company which does innovative work, right, which is known to deliver those complex cybersecurity products and solutions, right, which actually indeed contributed to make the world a safer place. That I think is something will give me immense pride and a legacy what I will look at. And I think the second part would be something is to groom an army of leaders, right, who are able to do great work, scale to greater heights. And I would love to have many of them start up their own companies and build companies at a scale even bigger than Sacumen to what it is, right, is because I think that is something, is no one can take it away, in that way, right, is something you have contributed to the growth of the economy and something what they themselves feel proud about it, right, their family will feel proud about it, and ultimately is we make India proud in that way, right, so that I think are the two things I would really want to have my legacy there.
Here's the leadership team of Sacumen who are determined to put a dent in cybersecurity space and leave a legacy. Gentlemen, it was wonderful talking to you and throwing insights into the industry itself and about your company. Before we leave, any parting thoughts?
I would say come join us to make the world a safer place. Thank you.